Imagine spending $4.8 billion on an airport. You hire the best engineers in the world. You design a system so advanced that no human hand would ever touch a single bag. Robots would do everything. Automated carts, laser scanners, miles of underground tunnels, a machine so perfect it would change aviation forever. Now imagine that on opening day, it rips luggage apart. It sends empty carts crashing into walls. It loses bags in tunnels that go nowhere. And the whole world is watching. This is not a story about bad luck. This is a story about what happens when ambition outruns reality and who pays the price when a system built to be perfect breaks everything around it. Hookend. In 1989, the city of Denver, Colorado made a decision that would define it for decades. The old Stapleton Airport was bursting at the seams. Flights were delayed. Gates were full. Denver was growing fast, and the city needed something bigger. Not just bigger, the best. Mayor Federico Peña stood before the city council and promised an airport unlike anything the world had ever seen. 53 square miles of land, bigger than the island of Manhattan. A terminal designed like the snow-capped Rocky Mountains, white-peaked roofs stretching into the Colorado sky. But the dream did not stop at architecture. Deep beneath the terminal, engineers proposed something revolutionary, Poiki, a fully automated baggage handling system, the most complex ever attempted. Every bag checked at the counter would be placed on a small electric cart called a destination-coded vehicle. These carts would travel through 21 miles of underground tunnels at 19 miles per hour, guided by laser sensors and a central computer. No human hands, no delays, no lost bags. BAE Automated Systems, the company hired to build it, called it the future of aviation. And what no one said out loud was that nothing like this had ever been built before. Anywhere in the world. Construction began in 1992. The airport was scheduled to open in October 1993. 16 months later, it still was not ready. Not because of the building, not because of the runways, but because of the bags. When journalists were invited for the first public test, they watched in silence as empty carts derailed and slammed into tunnel walls. Bags loaded onto the system were flung out at high speed, spilling clothes across the floor. One suitcase came out the other end, completely shredded. A system designed to never lose a bag was losing every bag. Engineers went back in. They adjusted sensors, recalibrated the software, rerouted the tunnels. Month after month, the airport sat empty. Fully built, fully staffed, fully ready. Except for this one system underground. Every day of delay cost the city $1.1 million. By the time the airport finally opened in February 1995, 16 months late, the original $186 million budget for the baggage system had exploded to over $560 million. But here is where the story gets deeper, because this failure was not an accident. It was predictable. Engineers inside the project had raised concerns as early as 1992. The tunnels were too narrow. The central computer was being asked to track too many variables. The physics of the carts at high speed threw the laser sensors off alignment. These were not small problems. They were fundamental design flaws, caught early, reported formally, and ignored. Why? Because the airport had already been announced. The contracts had been signed. The politicians had already taken credit. And this is the pattern that lives at the heart of this story. Once enough money is spent, once enough names are attached, once enough press releases are written, the system stops asking, will this work? And starts asking, how do we make this look like it worked? United Airlines had built its entire concourse B around the automated system. The city had taken on $4.8 billion in revenue bonds that required the airport to open and generate income. BAE had no penalty clause in their contract for delays. Every force in the room had a reason to keep going, and no one had the authority to stop. So the system kept running, or trying to. Even on opening day, the automated baggage system only operated in one concourse. The other two used humans with carts, and the exact system the technology was supposed to replace. 9 years later, in August 2005, Denver International Airport shut down the automated baggage system entirely. $1 million per month to maintain, too complex to fix, too expensive to upgrade. It was dismantled. The 21 miles of underground tunnels, still there today, could sit empty beneath one of the busiest airports in America. And what Denver teaches us is not that automation is bad or that ambition is dangerous. The lesson is about the moment when a system stops being questioned, when the engineers become messengers and the politicians become engineers, when the people who understand the risk are no longer the people making the decisions. You will find this pattern in the construction of the Titanic, where pressure to launch overrode concerns about lifeboats. You will find it in the 2008 financial collapse, where risk models were trusted over the judgment of people who knew they were wrong. You will find it every time something grows too large, too expensive, and too politically visible to be allowed to fail until it fails anyway. Denver International Airport today is the fifth busiest airport in the United States. Beautiful, functional, a genuine achievement, but 21 miles beneath its floors, in tunnels that carry nothing and go nowhere, the ghost of a different airport still exists. The one that was supposed to be perfect, the one that taught an entire industry what happens when ambition stops listening to reality. This is what Causal Frontier is about. Not just what happened, but the forces that made it inevitable. If this kind of thinking interests you, subscribe, because every system has a hidden logic. And we are just getting started.